0 to 60 can define a performance car, but it's the fastest 60 to 0 that's the aim of Tarok's brakes. From road cars to race cars, circuits, special stages, or the autostrada, nothing reduces speed like Tarok's brakes. Italy gave the world the art of Da Vinci and Michelangelo. Tarok's has given drivers the art of stopping. For more information and to acquire your own masterpiece, visit tarox.co.uk. Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. It's the fastest, it's the friendliest, and it's for all the family. The Gas Shocks 116 Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup are the fastest growing race series in the UK, taking in 6 one-hour races and 8 sprints at all the top circuits. Visit 116trophy.com to find out more and get yourself behind the wheel. From a pot of tea to TT motorbikes. From a classic English breakfast to a full serving of classic cars. Bridge House Tea Rooms is the Northwest premier classic car meeting location for cars, bikes, tractors and owners clubs. So no matter what your automotive appetite might be, visit Bridge House Farm Tea Rooms on their Facebook page or call John and Alicia on 07980 444 221 for show details and to reserve your own table and parking space. With the success of the London to Sydney Marathon Rally and then the London Mexico World Cup Rally, which followed soon after in 1970, it was decided that to commemorate yet another World Cup, another marathon rally would be run in 1974 from the 5th to the 25th of May, this being the London Sahara Munich. To give you an idea of how difficult it was, only 5 of the 70 starters actually finished. The route, as per the others, was to set off from London and finish in the country and city that was hosting the World Cup, the Football World Cup. So, on the 5th of May, the 70 entrants set off from London, down to Southampton, over to Le Havre, where they then drove down to Bordeaux, Bilbao, Cordoba, then Tangiers, into Africa, Bekar, Insala, Tamanrasset, Agadez, down to a little town called Kano, where they turned round, went back to Tamanrasset before they forked right, ended up in Tunisia, over to Palermo in Sicily, then over to Italy and across to Brindisi, crossed the sea again, down into Greece, over into Izmir and Ankara in Turkey, then up and into Titograd, Yugoslavia, onwards and upwards into Austria, past Salzburg, and eventually finish in Munich on the 25th of May. So, on the 21st of April, the historic Marathon Rally Group had a reunion of some of the cars that competed and some of the crews. So the Backseat Driver Podcast, with its me, Mark Stone, was fortunate to sit down and have a chat with one or two of the people involved. The winner, Jim Reddy X, who was one of a team of 3, won in their Citroën DS. The Australian crew delighted because Jim was the local Citroën dealer. However, it didn't garner the support from Citroën he wanted, because when he rang them up and said, "Look, we've won in one of your cars," they said, "Bit of a shame, we're discontinuing the DS." I was also able to chat with Azmi, who was heavily involved with Murat, which was the Turkish Fiat builder. So he took a Murat 124, which was a Turkish-built Fiat 124, and did extremely well, and went on to greater things later on. excuse me, I was also able to chat with Bron Burrell, though she didn't take part in this event. Her and the Austin Maxi did extremely well in the London Mexico, and she still rallies the car even to today. And Michael Ryman, who owns the Ford Capri V6, the only vehicle to take part in the London Mexico and the London Munich. His Ford Capri now being more or less complete for its full restoration. So sit back and enjoy my chat and visit to the historic marathon rally groups, London Munich Marathon Rally reunion down at the National Motor Museum at Gaydon on Sunday, the 21st of April. Here at Gaydon for the historic Marathon Rally Group's celebration of the London Munich, I'm with Michael Ryman, the owner of an extremely rare and extremely interesting Ford Capri. Michael, welcome to the Backseat Driver.
Thank you very much indeed. Good to be here.
Now, what is it about your Capri? I mean, I do, but the listeners don't. I mean, it's an extremely rare Capri that nearly ceased to exist.
Well, it's a car I've owned for 44 years, and most people associate rally cars and rally Fords with escorts, but this particular car was built by 22 men at Ford's Research and Development Centre in Dunton in Essex in 1970, actually built specifically for the first London to Mexico 1970 World Cup rally. This car finished that event, and then it went on to compete in the 1974 UDT-sponsored London Sahara Munich World Cup Rally. Some years after that, I acquired the car. But the reason it was a Capri was because Boreham at Ford's competition department at Boreham were busy building escorts, but Ford Dunton had one of their top Capri chassis engineers working on their team, and he was one of the co-drivers on this Capri. So, as luck would have it, they managed to acquire a Ford Capri from Cologne in Germany, a Ford Capri body shell, which formed the basis of this car. And then 22 volunteer prototype engineers at Dunton went on to construct this particular one-off, absolutely bespoke work specification, privately entered rally car on the 1974 UDT rally.
Now, it's like we said beforehand, it's a works car that isn't a works car. It was the very first left-hand drive Cologne V6 engined car. I mean, it has a lot of firsts to it, doesn't it?
Well, Capri had been launched a year or so earlier, in late 68, early 69, and this car, the body shell came in from Cologne as the first genuine left-hand drive twin headlight 3000 GT Capri body shell, delivered to Dunton for the purposes of then crafting a car out of that body shell with an awful lot of bespoke components and engineering into it, designed specifically for the grueling job of originally doing the 16,000 miles in 5 weeks London to Mexico World Cup rally. So yeah, as a Capri it was unusual, but allied to the fact that you've got a Capri chassis engineer, and a Capri chassis is different to an Escort. It's a good long distance chassis as well, chosen for comfort as much as anything else, and it wasn't an Escort, and that set it apart with Boreham building Escorts and Dunton saying we're not going to do Escorts, we're going to do a Capri. It was probably a little bit of a sort of probably a wry smile on their faces really, but that's how it came about. I can only guess because when that car was built, I was 13 years old. I'm a bit older than that now, but you know, we don't know the whole story. But one can surmise that someone did a clever job of thinking about needing a good car for long distance work, and using the services of their top Capri chassis engineer, Brian Peacock, who was the co-driver on both World Cup rallies in my car.
Now, your acquisition of the car all those years ago was quite interesting, isn't it? Because you didn't know what it was, and in many ways it's taken you a long while to work to find out what it is.
Well, it's an interesting question, that one, because 1980 is when I acquired the car. The car then was 10 years old. bearing in mind it had been built in 1970 and then competed in the 70 and 74 World Cup rallies, when I was offered the car through the motor trade in sunny Essex, I was running a garage business, and I'll tell you what happened. The guy who ran the garage business next door to me came round and said, "Here, Mike," he said, you're into rallying, aren't you?" And I said, "Why is that then, Rob?" So he said, "Well," he said, "a mate of mine is a motor trader, and he's got this Capri rally car that's been part exchanged at the local Ford dealer for a new Granada by a syndicate of businessmen." He said he's bought this motor, he said, and he don't know where to go with it, basically. He used some very rude language, actually, but he said basically he's stuck with it. "Would you be interested?" I said, "Well, where is it? What is it?" I said, "Surely it must be an Escort rally car, not a Capri. There's no such thing as a Capri rally car." He said, "No, it is a Capri." He said, "It's on my driveway at home." I said, "Well, how much is it?" He said it was £1,700. Well, in 1980, and I was 23 years old, I had about £17 in my pocket. I didn't have 1,700. And I said, "Well, I'll go and I'll take a look at it on the way home from work tonight, if you like." "Yeah, great, okay." I didn't think much more about it, but I dropped into his house and I pulled up outside the driveway, and this Capri was on the drive. And immediately I knew that this was no homebrew rally car. I was looking at a brick outhouse of a proper rally car, very, very well constructed, as strong as an ox. It smelt, it looked, it felt, and it sounded like a proper rally car. But it was a Capri. And it had sand in the footwells, and it had some foreign coins in the washer bottles in the footwell. It had a mountain of spares with it in a lock-up garage as well. And I fell in love with it. And Robert said to me, "What do you think then?" So I said, "No, it's not for me. It's not my kind of car, really." He said, "Well, that's a shame," he said, "because he really wants to sell it." So I made an offer. I still didn't have any money, of course. I had no idea how I was going to actually pay for it because, I was 23 years old and spent my money unwisely on wine, women and petrol. A week later, I took delivery of the car. And bear in mind, this is 1980, so take yourself back. We didn't have historic rallying. We didn't have the internet. We had no references for this sort of material in the way that we have now. And I did what any self-effacing 23-year-old did who was into motor cars, was I rallied it. And I rallied it, and I abused it, and I wrecked it, and I rolled it, and I had great fun in it. It was a phenomenal car on the road. I was very quick on tarmac, but not so quick on gravel. And I rallied the car for 5 or 6 years or so, by which time it was a 17-year-old Ford, which do what all 17-year-old Fords do, which is fell apart. So, and then marriage got in the way and all that sort of stuff, mortgages and marriage and jobs and Christ knows what else. So the car just fell apart, and it was very tired, and I'd pretty much destroyed it. But in 1990, the internet came about, and that changed everything, because I got an email from somebody. Once I'd worked out how to turn the computer on, I got an email from somebody that said, "You own that Capri. You do know that was built by a team of guys at Ford at Dunton, don't you?" "No." And that was the beginning of the whole journey, effectively. And I have to say that, over the ensuing years, even now, 44 years on since I bought the car, I'm still having people contact me that come up with surprises. Very, very recently, I got an email from a guy. He's 83, used to work at Dunton. He's still on their intranet, which is their internal website facility. He had logged on, and he'd got wind of the fact that my Capri was in existence still. And he sent me a beautiful photograph, and this is less than a year ago. Sent me a beautiful photograph of the car at Dunton's test track with 6 of the original build team members. I didn't know Dunton had a test track, but there was this fine picture of my Capri in all its livery at the test track. So, and in between all those times, so many people have come up with stories and anecdotes and visited me or written to me or asked questions, who all form pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. And it's been absolutely astonishing. And once historic rallying kicked off in 1988, then there was a growing interest in the backstory of historic rallying, and I then got to learn about the car's backstory as the World Cup rally car. That's one of only two existing cars in the world to have competed in both the 1970 and 1974 World Cup rally.
So, from all the abuse you bestowed on it, the car is now more or less fully restored.
Yes, I'd restored the body shell in 1992 from an absolute hulk, and that was a work of art because I realised it's a very, very bespoke thing, and I've taken many, many, many years, to be honest with you, putting it back together as it is. Still a bit of work to do. It's work in progress, but it's good.
Does it? When will you take it out again? When will it be seen in action?
Well, it won't be seen in action in earnest on proper rallies and things, but I'll do some tours and bits and pieces with it, and that can start any time I've got enough money to put 400 quid of fuel in the tank, which is what it costs me nowadays.
Michael Ryman, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
I'm here at Gaydon, the historic Marathon Rally Group, London to Munich Marathon Rally celebrations with Jim Rediex, the man who won the winning driver, or one of the winning drivers, in his Citroën DS. Jim, welcome to the Backseat Driver.
Thank you.
What's it like coming back here? How many memories does it bring back?
A lot, a very lot. Because when I heard about it, I wasn't particularly interested. I'm one of those that if I've done something, it's gone. But the more I look around and spoke to people, I got a bit nostalgic and thought, yes, I should be here. So,
what was the rally like to drive?
For us, we had no trouble, so that makes a big difference. I think from Australia, we're much more used to the isolation and the long distance with not too much going on. I think that was a big plus for us. We'd also done the survey of Africa, and we had trouble originally where the event went into trouble. So we were sort of ready for it, even though we couldn't find it when we got there. We found it before anybody else. Yeah.
And why or who chose the Citroën?
Andrei Walensky chose it. I was Citroën dealer. I was importer for Queensland. I only got involved because Citroën themselves wouldn't supply a car. They'd closed. I offered to prepare the car. Then Andrei said, well, you better come with us. We'll need a mechanic. So that's how I got in, yes.
I mean, one of the things was how much preparation went into the cars, because the cars were prepped for endurance over very trying circumstances. So in many ways, they're a completely different rally car to a standard rally car.
Yes, they were a long distance car. There's no doubt. They're not sprint vehicles. But the hydraulic suspension was ideal in that situation. And my experience, 80% of our sales were in country areas, unsealed roads, and so I had a lot of experience with what was anything likely to go wrong, which was a help. Yes. Yeah.
So in many ways, your victory in the car you were driving would have done an enormous amount for sales back in Australia.
They weren't big sales, but yes, it did help. And but interesting, we got back to Paris. And I walked in, and the first fellow I met was the PR man, and I said, well, now you've got something to talk about. He said, no, it's no use, the D model's finished. And that was it. That was it. Yeah.
So, I mean, do you look back with fondness to taking part in the event?
Yes, very much so. To me, one of the big factors for me was I felt that we'd done what Citroën couldn't do in the previous two. They led the London-Sydney, the original one, and crashed. They were leading cars out of Europe, going for Mexico. They crashed them all. We didn't.
It took the Australians to do it.
That's what we like to say, yes.
Jim Rediex, thank you very much for joining me on the Backseat Driver.
Thank you.
I'm here at Gaydon with Azmi, who is very kindly going to pronounce his last name for us.
Well, Avcioglu, which means hunter's son.
All right.
Yes.
Right.
Because my grandfather was the chief hunter of the emperor.
Right. Very nice. Now, you drove the Murat 127, didn't you? 124, which was basically a Fiat 124.
Yes. It was a Fiat 124 produced in Turkey, and everything was about standard. I was very lucky with the body, because when the car was going to be produced, they called me to the factory, and I had the facility with I think quality department manager. We built it just from scratch. It was on the line, but we built it as we like. We added the material we need, we removed material we don't need, and so we didn't have to make any welding and things like that afterwards. When it was out of the line, it was just as we needed, except the roll bar.
And what was it like to drive in the rally?
Well, from time to time I thought, what am I doing here? Especially in the nights in the Sahara. I was looking to the stars and asking myself what I'm doing here. But there was no way out. We had to finish it. We had to go.
And what's it like being here today, surrounded by a lot of the old competitors and a lot of the old cars?
The thing is, first I didn't think of it. By chance, it was Robert Connor who told me that this gathering was going to take place. And I started to look for those friends. I started to look for them about 2 months before, because I thought there should be about 120 to 30 people. I could only find that 12 are living, could talk to only 4. And here I think there's about 6, maybe, not more. And it was to my surprise that I called somebody, lady replied, and she said, "Oh, you are a little bit late," she said. Well, I said, "Why?" "Well, he died last month at the age of 112. So then I realized that it was a little bit late to call for people or to look for people, but suddenly this came out. I really liked it. In fact, my wife was very enthusiastic about it, and it's half of my coming here is from her. She said, "We have to go, you have to go, you have to go," so we came here.
Does it bring back good memories?
Yes, it did. Especially when I met Jim here, Jim Rediex, the winner. And because I just remember his face. He was younger than the other two in the car. I remember their boss with his belt with the money in front of it. And the driver, Ken Tubman. And this one, Jim was always smiling besides. So they were two different people, And Jim was different, so it was very nice to see him and talk to him when I arrived yesterday.
Besides the marathon, what other events did you drive in?
Well, I was driving in the rallies. I was in the Turkish rally champion in 1977. And I drove several rallies. I rallied in Greece. I rallied in Bulgaria. That's all really, about the country. But it was my job. I was working for the Tofaş company who produced the 124 and afterwards 131 cars. And I was the technical director of the rally group, so it was my job. It was my job to modify them and arrange them, make them, put them together. And from time to time, I had the opportunity to drive them also.
Yes, it's something you enjoy doing.
Of course, it was my hobby. It became my job. And then I retired from my job in 1985, but my wife went on. She was with me. She was my co-driver, navigator, I would say. Then she started to drive. Now she's helping in FIA for the Turkish Federation. So my son is also now, he is a Turkish rally champion and also the Balkan rally champion. I can't recall the years now, but one of his 2021 and the other is 2019 or something like that. But he gave up also.
But the name carries on in Turkish motorsport.
It will carry on with the smallest one, which is on the ground somewhere over there, yeah.
Azmi, thank you very much for joining me on the Backseat Driver.
Thank you. I was watching you all the time, and I thought I would meet you here. It was nice to talk to you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
I heard that my uncle had written something, and I managed to track it down, and it turned out that it was in the possession of Stuart Turner, in handwritten form only.
So, how long did it take you to convert it into a book?
Very long, because I'm a two-fingered typist. It was about 73,000 words, and it took me a while to get it to that stage, and then, of course, I had to find somebody willing to publish it.
Yeah. So, how's it sold? Because, it's now been a bit... Because, you're not republishing it, are you? Or are you?
No intentions to do that at the moment. I've managed to sell all bar a dozen of the 500 copies. It's raised about £500 for charity, and job done, really, in my eyes, because I've preserved my uncle's memories in print.
But it also highlights what went into producing or putting on these phenomenal rallies.
Oh, indeed, because it's the book covers not only his time organising rallies, because he did London, Sydney, and he also organised the World Cup rally in 1970. But prior to that, he was a BMC Works co-driver, and prior to that, a clubman competitor.
And this was in the days when you read the book, you realise that they had to have a normal job somewhere along the lines to finance it all or look after the family and everything else. But it was a real balancing act to be able to do a job that at times they didn't want to do, to allow them to go and do what they did want to do.
Well, indeed, Tony was probably one of the first paid co-drivers. He did also have a small decorating business in Hampshire, which helped sort of put the bread on the table, I guess. Yeah.
But once again, it's a fascinating book. Just so those listening, what's it called?
Tony Ambrose, the autobiography, but there is a sort of subtitle to it, Ever the Bridesmaid.
Thank you very much indeed, young man. Take care.
Thank you, Mark.
Here at Gaydon with the Historic Marathon Rally Group with the one, the only, Bron Burrell. Bron, welcome back to the Backseat Driver.
Oh, hi, Mark. It's lovely to see you again, darling. How are you?
We're not doing too badly. I don't think we're doing as well as you. You're here, there and everywhere with your Maxi, aren't you? Puff.
We're having a lot of fun with Puff. We had a brilliant year last year. We did lots of events, fabulous events, actually. Anyway, I'm putting a ladies' trophy on one event, but otherwise it was fabulous. And we've had a really good year, lots of trophies for the little car. So the little car's proving her worth.
How old is the Maxi now?
The Maxi is now 55 years old. She was actually 11th of April, almost to the day, you see, in 1969 was when she was registered as being alive, as it were, if you can call it that. Once she was registered, she must be able to run, so she's alive.
Now, the other thing is, a lot of the cars that did, in this instance, the London Mexico, ended up being left out there. After the rally was over, what happened to the Maxi?
Well, they weren't left out there. There were two Works Maxis and two privateers. Prince Michael of Kent was our teammate in a Maxi, and we were in a Maxi. And there were two Works cars, one driven by Rosemary Smith, one by Jean Denton. Those two cars went back to the factory, I think at Abingdon, and they sat languishing and rusting away in the corner for about... years apparently. I think Lord Stokes was fairly miffed that they hadn't actually beaten Ford on this rally, and one day someone said the cars had just disappeared, and as far to our knowledge they've never been resurrected. They were scrapped, which is such a tragedy. Prince Michael's car now is in the museum here at Gaydon. Sadly it doesn't run. It's deteriorating, I think, a little bit. Gets trolleyed in and out for events. But Puff is still running and doing well, and we've got awards to prove it. She won 5 awards last year, including 2 firsts in class, which, when you think who we're running against in our class, we've got things like Alfa Romeos and Ford Mexicos. So we're doing really quite well.
I mean, what does it take to keep the Maxi on the road or on the special stages?
That's a very good point. I don't think I need to discuss money with you.
I don't mean the cash, I mean the actual working on them.
Oh, well, you mean what, the mechanics?
Yeah.
Well, we've got a good team on her now, and we've done everything we can to her to repair all the rusty bits. She's wax oiled up to her eyebrows. We've also had, I had a real problem with the engine for a long time, with lots of blue smoke, and thank God for COVID in a funny way, that we had time to, after COVID, to strip down the car. The engine was polished. It was not nothing done to it, but it was just rebalanced and made good. I'm actually pumping out 123 brake horse, which was only doing about 90 before, so that's quite nice. So the engine's running very sweetly at the moment, which really helps. But of course, with regularities, I mean, when it comes to tests, we're not the fastest car. Unless we make a mistake and get to the finish, we could do it quite well. We've actually come 4th on a test before now, but we don't come last. We're sort of midfield or lower, slightly lower. She's not really a test speed car because she hasn't got a massive acceleration. She's got a lot of power, but not much. She's quite a heavy car with a heavy sump shield and 2 wheels on the roof, but I refuse to take those off because that is puff. So we do, but I've got a red-hot navigator, Suzanne. I call her my zero queen. If I listen to her, we can get zeros on all the regularities, so that's good.
So, I mean, to drive that car, it's like you said, it's heavy. Do you do actually anything to prepare yourself physically to drive the car now?
I drink red wine. I drink a lot of water. No, I do play golf and things like that. No. I lift things. The hardest part about driving the car is the fact the steering is so heavy. I mean, we're in the days of no power steering, no ABS braking. The gearbox is relatively okay, but quite tough to deal with. So, no, I do fine. I'm quite a strong girl, as you know.
So there's no end in sight for Bromburrell or Puff then?
They'll have to carry me out, darling. I'm sorry. I mean, I've got bad knees at the moment. That was sport. Sport does. No one told me when I was young sport could wreck your health, but my knees are fairly shot from skiing and tennis. So I walk not well these days, but it doesn't affect the driving. Thank goodness.
So it's safe to say, in a roundabout way, both Bromburrell and Puff the Magic Maxi are growing old. Together. Disgracefully.
Disgracefully indeed, darling, but having so much fun. Life is for living at the end of the day. It's often not what you do you regret, it's what opportunity you missed and didn't do you regret. I intend to have no regrets. Without hurting anybody, I intend to have no regrets.
Bromburrell, thanks very much for joining me once again on the Backseat Driver.
Thank you very much, Mark. Lovely to see you again.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my chat with one or two of the drivers and the people involved with the Historic Marathon Rally Group. It's an organisation that is well worth looking into if you are interested in historic rallying. A lot of the cars are the original cars, while some, such as the Marina Coupe with the V8 engine in, are recreations of the original. What is interesting, a lot of the cars that finished the events were repatriated. Those that broke down, many were abandoned. So they periodically turn up in the strangest of places. One in the London Mexico ended up in the back of a cafe where it was found many years later. When they come back to England, there is then the onerous task of restoring them to as they were. Not similar to, but as they were. It is a long job, it's a very expensive job, and it's a painstaking job and a labour of love. But these people and these cars are well worth seeing. Equally, the Historic Marathon Rally Group is not a profitable organisation. It's run by volunteers. They make their money in the main by selling programmes and selling the books that are dedicated to the events. One of the best, if you are interested, is written by Robert Connor, and it's called 16,000 Miles to Mexico City. The 1970 London to Mexico World Cup Rally. A fascinating book, and it highlights exactly what the cars and the competitors had to endure. And it will be appearing on the Backseat Driver podcast at some point, but Ian Harwood was one of the drivers in the London Mexico in a Mark II Ford Cortina, and he had to abandon due to damage, but that was a fascinating story in its own right. So look into the Historic Marathon Rally Group. They appear from time to time. You'll find them on social media. They produce some fantastic books. They sell some fantastic books. Their events have all the memorabilia and various other things, including the maps and the pace notes. Until you've seen these are tulip navigation books like you won't credit. And a lot of the maps are now preserved because since 1974, some of them have started to fall into pieces. But once again, thanks for joining. It's me, Mark Stone, on the Backseat Driver podcast. And if you enjoyed it, as I said, please keep on listening every Wednesday, and go and check out the Historic Marathon Rally Group, because they are a great group of people, and people especially like Bron Burrell will happily sit and chat with you and tell you about their adventures. Rarely beaten on price, never beaten on service. Whether it's cars, bikes or commercials, Hodder Tyres are the best in the business. And when it comes to tyre expertise and advice to supplying the correct tyres for your vehicle's specific requirements, nobody comes close to David Lakin and the Hodder Tyres team. So give them a call on 01200 613 192 or visit the website at hoddertyres.co.uk.